and welcome, guys, to the very first episode of Pies with the Pies podcast. I'm Aaron Paiz, and I'm joined here on my left, my beautiful wife, Nelly Paiz, and my sister, Maylin, and Andrew Paiz. Normally, he does production, and he's always behind the scenes stuff, but we finally got him here on camera here to join us at the show.
The guy running the show is what you would call me.
I don't think they would call it that. So, guys, I just wanted to open up this because it's our very first podcast, is that I wanted us to explain to those who are listening, those who are watching, what is the reason of Pies with the Pies. Like what's the purpose of doing all this? And, we've actually been in ministry for so long, and, what's the purpose of it? So whoever wants to go first on that.
Well, I guess the point of like creating this show, you can call it, is just to give people just a different look at us as a ministry. I guess the point is just, again, not to take everything so seriously, and not to be, I guess the easy way, because people just get such a small view of us. You only get like an hour, 2 hours tops, that one moment of seeing us in church, and that's the only impression that people ever get off us. But there's a lot of things behind the scenes. There's still us as people, like things that we like, things that we dislike, our hobbies, and food that we like, music that we like listening to, things that we like playing, our process of practicing. There's a lot of different things as people, not just about us, but any person out there. There's a lot of depth to a person. Yeah. And this is a way for people to look at us in a different way, and not so much just what you see up there.
The same thing, like that's why I said what he was saying. You see us up there on stage for those couple of hours, and that's it. And this other ways, we could actually, like, you get to know us, but at the same time that that we're just down to earth people, that you could be able to ask questions yourself and want to know not just about us, but about God as well. That way you don't feel like, oh my God, these people, they're too serious, or whatever you may think. Like, we're not like that. Like, we have emotions too, and we've been through a lot as well. So with this, we're trying to introduce ourselves to where we came from, and what we have gone through, and what we are going through. And also, like, this is also to expand more on via, like, now internet, that you could reach out to other people out there in other countries that don't know about God, and now to reach beyond that point, as I see it for our future as well.
Yeah, I mean, I know for myself, it's that people only get to see us for a sliver of time. Like, like sometimes it's for minutes. Sometimes if they're there for the whole service, an hour and a half tops. And then it's just like, okay, like, and then that's pretty much all you leave behind, just a memory. And memories fade, memories go away. And it's like, there's a whole lot of passion that goes into what we do that's kept us going for 15 years. And, I'm pretty glad that we're able to do these videos and to be able to put these things out here, because, I felt like it's about time for us to, like, do something. Because, we only doing one thing, and this other way, at least, there's a lot more platforms and a lot more things to do. And so, and one thing I was kind of thinking to myself is that, like, sometimes, like, we might see, like, maybe we'll put a video out there and everything, and maybe, like, okay, there's like 1,000 views or something like that, right? Yeah. But, I kind of thought of it. It's kind of like us as a society, we've kind of gotten numb to, like, I guess, how big the internet is.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, think about it though. Like, if you were to go to a church of 1,000 people now, that would actually be a pretty big church, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So when you look at it from that platform, it's like, oh, okay, that's a lot. But with my point with that is that there's just a lot more that you want to reach simply more than simply the what we leave there in person. Like there's a lot more to us. There's a lot more that we think about, a lot more that we would like to do. And that's why I'm glad to make these videos and even have this podcast too, is to be able to share all those things. Yeah. Nelly?
Yeah, I mean, it's all for a bigger purpose, I could say. We just want to share and experience most of these things with everybody. So I guess for me, one of the most important things that I wish we could just share with everybody is not just, like we're saying, not just when we're there for just 2 hours or so and you get to know that, but now you get to see what our everyday life is. We can just sit here and talk and tell you, what we did for the day or what we're doing for tomorrow, or we're in a state that perhaps you haven't been to, you haven't heard of, and we get to talk about that and we get to share that with everybody. And just like his word says, there's time for everything, and there's a time when we're sharing the word, we're sharing the gospel, and there's a time when we enjoy life and we share life with everybody. And there's times I watch YouTube and I watch my favorite YouTuber go to Target and buy a lamp, and I enjoy watching that because I like them. So for us to be able to do that with people, to show you what we do, and not just because we are important or special, but because we are all living for the same reason, and it's to live for Christ and to share his love and his wonders, and we just want to do that with everybody.
Yeah, I guess also still to jump off of what you're saying right there. I guess for people who are watching this or listening, it's just you might be listening or watching and be like, oh, they're not really talking much about the Bible and all this and stuff like that. Well, we do have a place and time where we're gonna have that. That's why we came up with our other segment, Teaching Tuesdays, and we'll still have other music videos that we're trying to bring out, more content we're bringing out. But there's also different segments, different times that we're going to have that out there. But this show specifically, Pies with the Pies, is just sit down, have a conversation with us, hear us just like Nelly said here, just talk about a state we've been at, talk about food, talk about us playing soccer, even though we're not very good at it. Mostly a tennis player, guys. So.
Yeah, tennis.
If Wilson or Battlear wants to sponsor me, it'd be great.
Right.
Yeah, it's a joke.
Yeah, but speaking of having a conversation, those who are watching or listening, I'm actually want to really encourage, like, as you see this video, just put a comment of a question you have or a subject you would like to hear, and that way then we might actually put it in for the next show and talk about those things. So just feel free to join along with us.
Yes, don't be shy, don't be shy.
Yeah, don't be shy.
So just just join along with us, and that way we can all have a conversation together.
Mm-hmm.
We're all that's the thing, is that as being a follower of Christ, is that there's actually a whole community of people that you can be able to talk to. And really that's the important part of this podcast, is that to actually share that is like the Bible talks about the joy of the Lord, and it also says about the Lord being life, that Jesus is life. So it's about living and to enjoy and have joy in your life, and to be able to share conversation and share stories and share life with your fellow brother and sister in Christ, that we're all having fellowship and communion together. So I think that's why for me this was actually a really important thing to do for us.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Be sure to leave a like, guys. So
Yeah, put a like.
Put a like,
And then-
subscribe.
Yeah, Andrew was saying about Teaching Tuesdays, also to make sure to look at that, because I work really hard on putting all that together.
Yeah.
The one thing I wanted to say is, people many times, because when they see us, we perform, we sing, and maybe a lot of times people can get it mistaken with a concert. We're just giving them a couple songs, but like, to remind everybody, we are a full ministry. There's 18 of us, there's a lot of us, and many times they just look at us as either just a family, just a band, but we're just like any other running church, I could say. We have people who do this, we have people who do that, and there's so many, as funny as it sounds, but there's different departments in our ministry. So you sometimes just see one part of who we are, but there's still a lot of other stuff. And just how we were saying, like, Andrew, this is the first video he comes up, but that's because he's been doing a lot of other stuff in the background, right?
Yeah.
And then there's like
Running
a lot
the
of
show.
other
Hence.
running the show, but like, hey, now you get to see everything, not just when you see us at a service, but you get to know the whole family and, you know, what makes us be who we are and what has built us to be this.
Yeah, that's I like that answer. That's pretty good. So, you know, those who are actually watching this video, you're probably noticing this thing that's on the table. The girls last night were trying to do a little, I guess, painting as a hobby or something.
Yeah.
So
Nestle over
actually, the
this
paint
table.
is still wet. I think it's because it's what, an oil paint or something.
I don't know, something.
So we started, well, this is Andrea's hobby, but we wanted to join her.
You're joining her. Okay.
And me, being the artistic person that I am, I painted this.
Okay.
Obviously, it's not my calling to paint. Just kidding. No, but there's a special meaning behind this, and which is this little person right here.
Is that lava in the back?
It's not lava. It's I said lava. It's not lava. It's supposed to be a very nice orangey sunset.
Orangey sunset.
But right here, as you guys can see, it's a dog, and that's Milo.
Milo.
So if nobody knows, me and Aaron have a dog, and he's a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel.
The what? People. That's
What?
the first people. That's the first
What?
thing that people always ask is like,
Google.
huh? Like,
Okay,
Please.
they
That's a
always
long name.
they always think he's a Cocker Spaniel, but he's a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. It's a long name.
Gay?
¿Cómo se llama? No, I'm just kidding. No, but see, this is another part that we get to share with you guys. Maybe a lot of you guys don't know because we hide them.
Yes, we do.
You don't
They're
know
very
where.
good at hiding.
But the ministry and all of us together, well, not all of us together, but individually, we have 5 dogs and a cat.
5 dogs. And
So-
they all go in the guitar cases, so that's why.
Yeah, they're part of the
Yeah, and then,
instrument.
That's a
they're,
joke, I'm
and then
kidding,
they're
they don't.
behind the stage.
Yeah, they hang out with us. But yeah, you know, you get to see that and how we have our own pets on the road and our
Right.
little babies.
when you think about it, though, 5 dogs in one spot. That's a lot of dogs.
It's a lot.
There's a lot of dogs, but you know they're good at being on the road. You know,
Yeah,
they
they
know
are.
to get in the truck and just knock out
Yeah.
and then
Well,
believe.
let's just get this story straight. It's because none of us ever had a pet in our life. So this would be considered like my first pet, your first
My
pet.
first pet.
So, and your first pet.
Well, yours
Yeah.
is definitely the oldest out of all.
Yeah.
Yeah, her dog is Spartacus, and he's a Chihuahua, and he's a veteran of the dogs.
Yes.
Yeah.
How old is he?
He's 9.
9 years
9.
old. Ooh, veteran, senior veteran.
You know, the other day I was actually looking at him, and I was looking at his teeth, and literally the front one is wiggling.
Yeah, that dog's old.
He's getting old.
I'm like, any second now that tooth is gonna fall off, and it's gonna
Aw.
like he's gonna be missing.
But I mean,
front
9.
teeth.
That's still okay for
He's
Chihuahuas,
good.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
I know from
Yes.
normal dogs.
I know
it's pretty
they
old.
they live like 15, 20 years. So.
15, 20.
So he's got
Yeah.
a long way to go.
Unfortunately, we have. I'm just kidding. Spart's good. Spart's a good guy.
A good guy.
He's security.
He's security. That's true.
Alrighty. So, well, on a little bit more serious note, you know, we're talking about the purpose of, you know, the, you know, Pies with the Pies, the segments, the videos and everything. But actually, I think a question that people always have is, you know, what's the purpose of what we actually do as a ministry now? You know, some people haven't known that we've actually been doing this for 15 years, like nonstop. You know, we don't have a home that we go back to. You know, it's just fully 100% dedicated to, you know, traveling. It's a traveling ministry. So we go throughout all the United States, you know, coast to coast, you know, preaching God's message and everything. So, you know, for a lot of people who don't know, you know, I'd like for us to talk about, you know, what is the purpose of, you know, for us personally about, you know, actually being in the ministry. So, and I know for Nelly, it's a little bit different because, you know, we grew up in this, but, you know, you obviously had a different background and
Yeah.
growing up in a different thing.
So definitely, I feel like, you know, they all grew up into this, but I grew up in a normal household, you know, where my parents had jobs. I went to school all the way through high school, and, you know, many times we live in a world where we have a there's supposed to be this normal way of life. You know, you are born, you go to school, you go to college, you live your life. And I think when it comes to this, it's different. And people always say that, like, you guys don't have a house, and like, it's like crazy.
Yeah.
But I think that's what's amazing about doing this. You know, I grew up normal household, but even to the point where I went to high school, you still get that feeling of like, what am I doing, or what do I do next? And if you didn't, you know, that's good, but I did. I have no idea what I was doing. But still, like, I just feel like when God has a calling over your life, when he has something for you, it doesn't matter where it's going to be. It doesn't matter if you have to go stand up in the streets and preach the gospel. If that's what he has called you to do, then you can go out and do that. There's people who go and preach all the way to China, but that's what God put over their lives.
Yeah.
So I think in our lives, this is what he called us to do. And I think it's great, the fact that, you know, God put this over my life and I am here now. And I think that's what's beautiful about God. You know, Jesus was sent to this world and he wasn't a normal person. And that was the problem of his time. Everybody thought he was crazy. Everybody thought, like, what is he doing? And I think, you know, that's what it is to be followers of Christ, to be like him, to be who he was. And if we have to be crazy in order to do his calling, then let's do that.
Yeah, I think, you know, that's what probably one super important thing is, because see, I think that, you know, I know for myself in my life is that the important thing always for me is to always put, you know, Jesus Christ ahead of whatever we're doing. You know, this is not something that like, oh, that made sense, I guess, to me or something, but it's that, like, you know what, it's that it's whatever he's has me to do, whatever he has for us, our calling. Because I mean, really, it's only passion and love that's been able to actually sustain us for this past 15 years. You know, without a normal job, without a steady income, it's just, you know, this is all we do. So, you know, I think for me, it's there's a lot of purpose in serving. You know, now, like, I think a lot of times people forget that, and so we get into a mindset about what can God provide for me, and we get into this thought like, oh, okay, well, you know, I'm gonna pray to God because I have a prayer and I have a need for something, when at the same time it's like, you know, he designed it where he says that there's actually purpose in serving. And that's even how Jesus lived, because he lived in that same way, is that he came not to conquer, not to rule, but to serve. You know, that's even biblically of how he said it. So, you know, for me personally, it's that there's a lot of purpose in what we do, you know, because at the end of the day is that we put him ahead of ourselves. So
Yeah, I mean, going back into this a little bit more, since you're saying about job and all that, like, all three of us, we never had a job, like a normal job. We were born and raised traveling with, you know, our parents that were ministers as well. So, like, with me, like, being and seeing that through my parents, it wasn't something that I was forced upon me, that, oh, you have to go in the ministry and all that. It was never forced. It was more that I was drawn, but knowing that God called me to do it.
yeah.
Because there's a scripture that says, John 15:16, you did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit. So even from the day we were born, that God already selected each one of us.
Yeah.
And it's now up to us to now pursue that and go forward from that. And that's why with me, like, I was drawn to that more because of him calling me to do it. And now I have a purpose, and I will keep continuing because of the love I have.
Yeah. I mean, that's true, you know, just through the love that God has. And, you know, I guess from my view, the way I see it, like, you know, the purpose of the ministry that we have, and with that word purpose, is just, you know, like many ministries and, like, you know, many teachings God has, it's just to be, you know, disciples of his word, to spread out the gospel and let everybody know, you know, that he is here to save, that he's here to love you. And, you know, I feel like that is the purpose of our ministry. And, you know, why do we do what we do? To me personally, plain and simple, it's just simply because it's the calling that God has for us. I feel like there's many ways to serve him, and simply put, this is just the way he told us, not just something he put in our hearts, but through different prophets that he sent our way, through different people, basically to make us do this calling, to pick up this cross specifically that we have, the way we do it. It doesn't make the most sense sometimes. Are there easier ways to do this? Yeah, of course there are. But God doesn't always want our logic with his ministry. He just wants our love, and he wants our obedience to his word, simply for the fact that he just said it. And that's what love is. Just being obedient to the word that he gives us, not because what, like you were saying, what do I get out of this? It's just because you love him and just simply want to fulfill the purpose that he has out of love. And that's the point of why we do what we do.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that, and I feel you guys probably would agree with me on this. It's that, like, I don't know if you guys noticed that everything that has happened in our time doing this, it's almost like, there's almost even been a lot of reasons not to do it. Yeah. Like, we always think that, and I've heard the phrase sometimes is the like, oh, if God doesn't want you to do it, it's not going to happen or something. Or like, if you're supposed to do it, then it's, God's going to provide it. But sometimes God doesn't. And it's because that there's purpose behind that as well. Yeah. It's like, people think that like, oh, just be, if it's supposed to happen the way that God, this is the sign that it's God, that it's going to be easy. But think of every person in the Bible that you can think about, and nothing about their life was easy.
Nope.
No.
Like there was always something hard. There was always something impossible. There was always, something coming against. And so actually, like, when you think about it, is that how it's God is that a lot of times it's because it gets hard. Yeah, because what is that there's actually purpose behind the faithfulness. That's what he actually wants to show. Like, there's purpose behind your faithfulness, purpose behind your integrity, purpose behind your loyalty. And so, it's things that you're not going to see at the moment, but it's not for us to see, but it's for him to show. Yeah. So, and that's a big testimony to, how the Bible says that man doesn't live by bread alone, but it's, by the word that comes from him. And it's because that, there's a lot of purpose to that. So that's why, I'm going to say it again, is that like there's purpose in serving. And so, there's just, that's really what I keep in my life. But also, I know that we had some questions that was put on Instagram, right?
Bonus round.
So there was questions put on there. One of the questions was, where do we see ourselves in 5 years?
5 years. I mean, maybe I'll go back to playing guitar, maybe. For those people who may not know, like, for the past bit, I haven't been playing guitar. People have known us longer. know I used to play guitar and everything, right? So, but recently went from guitar, moved over to sound, just because I feel like there's been some help needed there and everything like that. And, being that I taught Gabrielle everything she knows, I feel like, she's able to hold the reins a little bit, and then,
Yeah, you think that.
Right.
So, okay. Anybody else? What do you see yourself?
5 years? It seems like a lot, but then it doesn't. So, I mean, ministry-wise, I don't know. God can do a lot of things. So I'm excited to see what he has for us. But I guess my personal life, I don't know, 5 years from now,
You'll probably have kids by then.
maybe there'll be a baby or 5 more Milos. I don't know.
Okay.
No. Just have a baby, please.
Okay, maybe there'll be kids in the way. Well, there'll be a kid. I don't know.
You mean on the way?
On the way. There you go.
They're in the way.
In the way. They'll be
in the way is like, oh man, that's
on the way.
Maybe the same
But,
thing here,
Yeah.
Maybe some niños or something.
Some niños.
Yeah,
Any
in
niños
all
around?
honesty, I wouldn't know like in 5 years what would happen. I mean, I just leave it all in God's hands and see where it goes, because he could change plans instantly. I mean, we could think we're going to be here in the same spot, or we could be in another place.
True.
Or, you know, extend more. So who knows? I'm just ready for whatever's in store.
I mean, I always, you know, anytime somebody asks a question like that, like, you know, 5 years, 10 years, like, well, 10 years is a longer time. But, you know, when you actually think about it, like, you know, 5, even 10 years is a long time. Because think about it this way. Like, what were you doing 5, 10 years ago? And would you have thought then that you would be where you are now? So, like, you know, that's actually where, like, you know, when you think about it that way, it's like, okay, a lot can change and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely 5 years ago, I didn't think that, like, oh, okay, you know, I'd have Milo, a dog, and
I never thought I'd have a dog.
and then even, you know, being married or even making podcasts. I mean, you know, stuff like that is like, I guess you don't really think about it.
Yeah.
But, you know, just, I guess, you know, stuff can change. And, you know, so I guess 5 years, you know, from now, it's like, I mean, who knows? But, you know, the only best thing you hope for is, you know, at least, you know, Jesus comes for us or something.
Yeah, Jesus comes for us.
So, okay, second question here was, what are our pet peeves? You know, just off air, I had to learn what that word actually is, because, you know, it sounds like it's something to do with a pet or a dog or something. But so off air, I had to actually figure out what that actually is. So Nelly had to tell me. So, you know.
So what does it mean?
It means, I guess, just when you don't like something, like, you know.
It says when a person specifically finds something annoying.
Can a person count?
Yeah.
Because then it'd be you. Pet peeve.
We don't.
No, it's a joke. I'm sorry.
We love each other.
We don't like each other.
My brother.
It's just brother and sister love.
Oh, you want to go ahead?
I don't know. I guess pet peeve. Somebody was doing it the other day, chewing gum.
Oh.
You know, actually, like, you had to help me out with this one, but actually, like, a big pet peeve I don't like is chewing gum, and actually blue drinks.
Which is so odd.
You know, every time you say that stuff, I find it's like so like dumb. Like,
I know it
drinks,
sounds dumb, but actually I don't like blue drinks.
He doesn't like blue
it can't be blue. Like the only thing I'll ever push myself is maybe like a blue Gatorade or something.
Not even.
But it's like, okay, like the problem isn't the flavor. I like the flavor. I'll drink, you know, a lot of different drinks. It's just the color. You know, I think it's just because when I was a kid, I had a lot of, you know, some bad experiences, and you probably saw it too, where you see a kid with like a candy, like a lollipop or something, and then their mouth and tongue and everything is just all blue and purple.
It's just dumb, though. It's still
No, but I guess since then I guess
blue
I don't know.
drinks.
It was
blue. I don't want it.
okay. But it's not like if I had to, I'd drink it. You know what it is? I think it's the problem that gets me is blue dye. It's blue dye. So it's like it stays on you.
Specific about it, even though no matter how specific it still is dumb. So.
Well, I'm trying to make the best sense of it. That's just what I don't like. It just like it's just blue drinks.
What about you, Maylin? You don't like red drinks or something?
I'm actually trying to think of one. The only one would this be considered like when I try to explain myself and the person didn't hear, and then I have to explain myself again. I get annoyed by that. Is that one?
Yeah.
Because I do get annoyed every time. Like what? I'm like,
maybe it's because you mumble.
Is that a pet peeve, or is that just considered being impatient?
She just finds it annoying.
Yeah,
is that considered being impatient or something?
No.
I don't know what it is. I mean, I could explain again, but I think it takes me the third shot or the second, depending when I know they're doing it intentionally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just people being annoying.
Yeah.
I have a pet peeve.
What's that?
So I grew up with a brother, right? An older brother. And I hate when guys shave and leave all their hairs on the sink.
Well, I don't have to worry about that. I
But
got 3 hairs.
The Lord blessed me with a husband who doesn't really have a lot of
I mean, when
facial hair.
you look at the hair on my cheeks, you could literally count the hairs. That's how little amount of hairs I have.
But then I think like I'm a hypocrite
Why?
because my hair falls out. My hair falls out a lot.
Yes.
Okay, maybe that one is
So that was like all over the shower.
Passing by
all over that
home, just,
shower.
like hair all over my feet. Like like
All over
it's
the
worst
scene.
thing.
I'm sorry.
No, there's been a couple of times I have to wake up and, you know, like I feel something on my neck and I just pulling a long hair and it's just hers. So like that one like bugs me because it's like on my neck or something. So it's like, yeah, it just hairs everywhere. And then if you look at her brush, it's just, you know, like, it's another Milo right there.
Just pull it out, give it a name.
Give it a name.
The same thing.
No, okay, I'm just kidding. But still, I'm serious about those blue drinks. Like,
Still dumb.
I mean, is it as bad as Gabriel not liking mashed potatoes?
I mean, but that's not a pet peeve. That's just I don't like mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
That's true.
No, okay. I guess that's somewhat there. So, well, I mean, I guess that'll be a wrap for today, guys. You know, this was Pies with the Pies, our very first podcast. So I'm actually really proud and really happy that we were actually able to do this. And so, you know, like I'm going to say it is just, you know, to leave comments and, you know, put a like on this video if those who are watching. But make sure to put a comment, you know, of another question or a subject that you guys have that you'd like for us to talk about in the next episode and everything. But, you know, it's been great talking to you guys. So anybody got anything to say bye on?
Well, I would just say, being that it's our first, you know, time doing this, so, you know, if it's not that good, sorry, folks, we'll get better.
Right.
Yeah, we'll get better at it.
We'll get better at talking. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, for listening, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
See you next time, guys. You all take care.
Bye.
Okay, bye, guys. Radio.